So I went over to the Tip Bar Guy headquarters to check out and test the Apex bench and the entire ecosystem of attachments. And I got to tell you, I had a ton of fun. I was like a kid in a candy store just testing out all these different attachments and just seeing the innovation that's going on in the home gym space when it comes to benches. Now, with that being said, don't think that you're going to need all these different attachments in order to get a great workout. No, just pick and choose. It's good to have the choices. It's good to pick and choose based on your training style and also based on the amount of space that you have in your home gym. Now, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and start with the centerpiece, which is the bench. I think they did a really good job with the bench here. It's solid, 11 gauge steel, weighs 105 pounds, and it's got a weight capacity of 1,000 pounds. Grippy vinyl, very comfortable padding. The gap between the pads is about 1.5 inches. So very well done design. 17 back positions ranging from -10 all the way to 85 degrees. And you may be asking yourself, why do you need so many different angles? Well, remember, there's about 10 or more attachments here that you can pick and choose from. So some of these attachments require specific angles in order for the exercise to be performed correctly. So that's why you have all these different angles here. Starting at the beginning, -10 goes to 0. And then from there, it goes up in 5-degree increments all the way up to 85 degrees. Now, the next thing I want to show you, well, there I am testing the 1,000-pound weight capacity. Very stable bench, very sturdy. I like that. This is what I wanted to show you, though, the retractable band pegs. If you're somebody that likes to work with resistance bands, whether that's resistance bands alone or a combination of resistance bands and weights for accommodating resistance, then you have the option to add retractable band pegs to the hind leg, to the frame. This is something that doesn't come standard. It's additional. So it's additional cost. Now, what's really cool, though, is that they go into the hind legs, so you don't even see them. I didn't even know they were there. And then when you're ready to use, you pull them out, and then you can attach bands to them. And then when you're done, push them back in. They have a magnetic head on them, so they stay on the frame. So even when I stand it up vertically, they didn't fall out. So that's what they look like. Pull them out, push them back in, and then you're done. Very cool. Nice innovation there. Another thing they did different from other benches is that this one has 3 different ports. It has a port right under the back pad, another port on the hind leg right there in between the band pegs, and the third port right under the seat pad. So 3 different ports for all these different attachments where you can anchor them down. So very innovative. Haven't seen this in other benches. Now there's the incline position. Again, this is an FID bench, so you can use it for flat, incline, decline bench. Very sturdy. The seat pad goes from -20 to 30 degrees. This uses a pop pin here, and there is the negative or the decline bench. Goes -10. And this is important also because that -10 angle is what allows me to do the belt squats on the belt squat attachment, so I can get pretty good depth. So I'm going to show you that next, but I just wanted to show you the bench here first so that you can see what we're working with as far as the centerpiece. And there's the bench, of course, in vertical storage. You're going to need that so that you don't take up a ton of floor space whenever you're not using it. So as far as the bench goes, great bench. Excellent, feels sturdy, 11 gauge steel, 1,000-pound weight capacity, flat, incline, decline. You have the option to add band pegs to it, and then it has different ports so that you can use all these different attachments at different angles for a variety of different exercises. Now, the first attachment I have to show you is a Barrett Belt Squat, just because this was one of my favorites. I was very intrigued by this one right from the beginning. And the reason for that is because I've never seen anything like this where I insert an attachment into a bench and it converts the bench into a long lever belt squat. So crazy innovation here. And the best thing about it is that it folds down, as you see right here, and it stores vertically. Doesn't take up a lot of space. It's a very small attachment actually, because the lever arm, most of the lever arm is the actual back pad. So what I'm showing you here is Mac pins. The Mac pins are going to lock the weight horn and the handle into different positions. This right here is a spring for the kickstand. It's spring loaded, has a small handle there, and then you can just flip it up and down. And here it is. Here's the whole setup. It's a 66-inch lever arm, and there's benefits to that long lever arm. One of them being that you're going to feel most of the weight that you load. In this case, this one has a 450-pound weight capacity, and you feel 67% of the weight. And the second benefit to a long lever arm is that you get more of a vertical up and down motion versus an archy motion to the lever arm, and that's good because it creates less shear forces on the low back and also on your knees. So very, very good design here. The pivot point starts right at the gap between the back pad and the seat pad right there, and then travels all the way, the lever arm travels all the way up to the handle. So very cool design. And I'm going to show you some belt squats here in a second. And what I'm doing here is that I'm going past horizontal. So you can see right there, just boom, if I pause it right there, this is going past horizontal, so I get very good depth here. I can even go further, and that's because of that -10 setting on the bench. And by the way, this is a pre-production model, so there are going to be some changes made to this model. One of those changes is going to be the length of the kickstand. So as you can see here, when I flip up or flip down the kickstand, you can see I have to go down a little bit. So by increasing the length of the kickstand, that's going to allow me to start in a more vertical and end in a more vertical position, so I don't have to do that. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you here is I'm changing the handle, locking it in place into a horizontal position for RDLs. Now, keep in mind that if you do very heavy RDLs, you can start from the ground. You don't have to you don't have to start with the kickstand in the vertical position. Just start from the ground, do the RDLs. You can see the handle there going very vertical and not so archy. Now, I just wanted to show you here, the hybrid board has a cutout. This allows me to do incline or heel elevated squats without the kickstand hitting the slant board. And I can also use this for calf raises, as I'm going to show you right now. So there I am, the calf raises. These feel very good. And that is the Barrett Belt Squat. You can see it doesn't take up a lot of space, stands up in the vertical position. This one here is a Stryker Pad. It's almost like a Bulldog pad, but I can also use it as a half bench. So very cool, has many uses. If you notice right under the pad, right to the left of the pad, there's a pop in there. That's what I use to change the angle of the pad. It uses a sundial where I can just pull the pop in and move it into different angles. To the left of that, you can see that there's a knob. That's what I use to change the height of the attachment. So I'm going to show you first how to adjust it. As simple as that. Pull the pop in and just rotate to whatever position you want. Now, of course, whenever you set it to whatever position you want to turn the knob so that it's locked in place, so that there's no wiggle there. And then this is the vertical adjustment. And again, this is just to accommodate people of different heights. And of course, for exercises like the one I'm going to show you here, the bent over row, the height here allows me to get a full stretch at the bottom of the exercises. That way the weight plates aren't touching the floor. I don't lose tension in my muscles. So it'll look like this. I'm going to pause it at the bottom here. And right there, you can see, well, I'm going to bring it back up. So I'll pause it down here. There it is. And you can see that the weight plates are not touching the floor. I get a full stretch, but at the same time, I'm keeping constant tension on my muscles. If you're somebody that has very long arms, you can bring up the pad so that you get the same effect that I'm doing here. Now, on the way up, you can see that my elbows are going past my body. That's going to get me full range of motion so I can get a full contraction in my back muscles. Now, this is possible because the Stryker Pad was designed in a way where the barbell does not hit the bottom of the pad. So I'm getting full range of motion at the top and then full range of motion at the bottom of the exercise. So very, very good design. And of course, I can do the same thing with dumbbells. Now, one thing to note here that I want to tell you is that I tried doing the bent over rows the opposite way, where my knees were on the bench itself and I was facing the other way 180 degrees. And you don't want to do that because the bench did start to tip over. So the best way to do it is the way that I'm doing this right now. And the same thing that I did with the barbell, where the feet are off the bench, not on the bench. So just an FYI there. Now here I'm showing you the preacher curls, single arm preacher curls. And again, this was just as easy as tilting the pad 45 degrees. Now this right here, I just wanted to show you that the tubing on the Stryker Pad is double-sided. So there's holes on both sides, which allows me to use it for more exercises like I'm going to show you here. So I turn it here, face the other way, and now I convert this into a half bench. And if you can see right there, if I pause it, you can see that I'm able to bring down the dumbbell for overhead tricep extensions without it touching anything there. And this is the whole benefit of the half bench. I'm able to get full range of motion for overhead exercises such as this one, and also for exercises such as shoulder presses. I'm able to tilt my head back so that it doesn't touch the pad there like it would with a regular bench. So if I pause it right here, you can see I have to tilt my head back when I'm doing a shoulder press, a barbell shoulder press, so that I get my nose out of the way, and that way I get full range of motion on my shoulders. So that's just another benefit to that attachment right there. And here I just turn my body around and I'm using it to support my chest while doing chest supported seated cable rows. So this is the Stryker Pad. I like it, very easy to use, very versatile. It has many uses that I would use certainly in my home gym, especially I like it for the half bench and also for the bent over row. Now this one here is a Nordic Max. It's a 4-in-1 attachment, Nordic curls, split squats, lat pull downs, and seated cable rows is what I do here. And I'm gonna pause this for a second here and show you that there's a seat pad there that's split down the middle, and there's a reason for that. Now, if you get this attachment, you're gonna have 2 seat pads, this one and then the original one that comes with the bench. So when you do Nordic curls on a regular weight bench, the bench is narrow, so you have to bring in your knees, so it brings the knees out of alignment. So it's not comfortable to do it on a bench, basically. So with this pad, I'm able to split it down the middle and spread it outward so it goes past the edges of the bench. And now I have a more natural alignment when doing Nordic curls with this setup here. So there it is right there. I already exchanged the original seat pad with this one that's split down the middle. And then I have the attachment off the edge there. And if you look closely, right below the seat pad, there's a couple of pop pins there. And that's what I use to move or slide those halves to the outside, making them wider than the original bench. So this is what it looks like. I pull the pop pin and then I slide them out. And if you look there, if I pause it here, you can see that the seat pad now is wider than the actual back pad. So my knees are in a more natural position, so the Nordic curls feel easier. Or I shouldn't say easier, they feel more natural. So with this one, I can do incline Nordic curls, I can do flat Nordic curls, and I can also do decline Nordic curls for people that are really advanced. So that's what they look like there. Now the next setup here is going to be for the split squats. If you notice, I have the seat pad in the negative position, so it brings down the rollers closer towards the floor, and that allows me to use them now for split squats. So I can use this like a split squat stand. Now, next setup is going to be the lat bar. So I can use this as a lat bar for lat pull down. So what I'm doing here is I have the seat now in the flat position, in the neutral position, and I'm bringing the rollers up so that I can slide my legs under there. And now I can use this as a lat bar for lat pull downs. Now there's one thing about this one though. This setup, I can only go as heavy as my body weight. And the reason for that is because since nothing but my body weight is holding the bench down, since it's not anchored to the floor, it's not an actual attachment that's holding me down, I have to play with the balances there. So I have, let's say I weigh 180 pounds and I'm pulling 180 pounds. That's fine. The bench is not going to move. But if I start to go over that, so let's say if I go 190 or 200 pounds, then there's a tendency for the bench to start to tilt up a little bit because I'm pulling more than I actually weigh since the bench is not anchored down. So something that you can do if you pick this up and you plan to do really heavy lat pull downs is to throw some weight plates on the back pad there to keep the bench grounded. So just something to point out there just because this is something that can happen. So I'm just giving you a heads up. Now this one here is going to be my favorite one out of all these exercises that I can do with the attachment. And that is a foot plate for seated cable rows. See, the way I'm doing the seated cable rows right now is I throw a sandbag in front of my uprights and then I use that as a foot plate and I do them on the floor. So this solves 2 problems. Number 1, I have a foot plate, and number 2, I do them in a more comfortable place, the back pad. So this one's going to be my favorite out of this attachment. Now this one here is the Matrix machine, another 4-in-1 attachment where I can do 3 leg exercises and 1 upper body exercise. What's unique about this one is that it has 180-degree motion, and I'm going to show you that in a second. But first, I'm going to show you the sissy squat setup. For the sissy squat setup, I insert this into the bottom port, and whenever I want to do the upper body exercise, I'll show you that I insert it into the top port. So here's a sissy squat setup. I have the pad in the locked vertical position, and then I have the option to move the leg rollers back and forth to lock my feet in place. So I'm going to show you this. I'm going to pull the pop pin for the adjustments here. I put my legs in there and then lock them in place, and I can do my sissy squats. Now I'm going to pause it right here at the bottom. You can see that I have the bench at the -10 position so that I can get full range of motion in the sissy squats. My butt does not touch the pad, so I keep constant tension in my quads. And I keep my body vertical here so that I emphasize the quads for the exercise. I really like this one. It locks my feet in place very well. I felt very secure, and I can do my sissy squats. Now, for any other exercise, I have to pull this part, the bottom part out. So I pull the pop in, release that. And then from here, I can use this for 2 other exercises for the lower body. Split squats, I have it locked in the vertical position here. So I can just go up and down, up and down. And then if I want to do dynamic hip thrusts, I have to unlock it so that it's freely rotatable. And I do that with this pop pin here. So if you notice, the pop pin has a peg right on the center of the body, When I pull this out, I rotate the pop pin and then it stays in the unlocked position. And that's what gives me that free rotation so that I can use this for the dynamic hip thrust. So this is what it looks like. I have my back on the pad and the pad is moving with me as I do the hip thrust. So it's better than doing it off the side of a bench. Now this is the upper body exercises for preacher curls. So I removed the attachment from the bottom port, inserted it into the top port, and now I can hang my bar there for preacher curls. Now keep in mind that the hooks that are holding the bar are going to be different in the final version. They're going to stick out further off away from the preacher curl pad here. Right now what they have is a small hook and it doesn't stick out very far, but all it does is go into the bottom of the preacher curl pad attachment here. And that's pretty much it. That's this attachment. This is the Matrix machine. 3 lower body exercises, 1 upper body exercise. I really like the sissy squat the most out of this one. And I say my second favorite would be the dynamic hip thrust, just because it's moving along with your body. Now the next attachment is the leg developer. If you like to isolate your quads and your hamstrings, then this one's a must-have for the home gym. I like the build quality on this one. I like that it stands up on its own, so I don't have to lean it up against the wall when it's off the bench so it doesn't fall. I like that they're using really thick leg rollers on this one, especially the one at the bottom, because that's going to push my shins back and create a pre-stretch in my quads when I'm doing leg extensions, which is a good thing. Now, another thing about this one is that they're using dual weight horns, which is good. I can have a higher weight capacity on this one than if it had a single weight horn in the front. And if I pause it here, you can see that there's a gap here in between the bumper plates and the frame of the leg developer, and that's there for a reason. There's a plastic there that allows me to add resistance bands to the machine, so I can use it as a warm-up, or I can add it to the weight plates for accommodating resistance, so I can get a bigger contraction at the top of the exercise. Now, there's also an optional cable attachment that I can use on the machine. So if you're somebody that has a functional trainer or cable machine, whether it's a Voltra or just a selectorized plate machine, you can attach it to this and get constant tension throughout the exercise as well. Now, here's what the leg extensions look like. You can see at the bottom, I get a full stretch. I'm gonna pause it at the bottom here. You can see my shin is going backwards. It's not completely vertical, and that's exactly what you want to get constant tension right from the beginning of the exercise. Also notice that the bench is at an incline, so I'm able to lean back some. That opens up my hips, and that creates more of a stretch on the quad. So it's just gonna give you a better contraction, better results whenever you're doing the leg extensions. Now this right here is something that's really cool. They have hidden handles right under the seat pad, and I actually stood the bench up vertically so that you can see this better. And they fold up whenever I want to use them for leg curls, and I bring them down and they lock in place. Now here's what they look like. That's the vertical position. Now I'm going to show you the horizontal position, and then I can hang on to these. This creates more stability when I'm doing the leg curls. Again, full range of motion at the bottom, full range of motion at the top. Now what I'm going to show you next is the band pegs. This has built-in band pegs on the leg developer. They're not optional, they come with it. And what I really like about this, the band pegs, is that they have a plastic roller on the band peg, and that allows free motion, so there's no friction with the band and the band peg. So it's just rotating on those rollers when I'm doing the leg extensions or the leg curls, and that's what it looks like. Now here's the cable attachment. Like I told you, this is optional. If you have a cable machine, you can buy it. It goes through a pulley at the bottom, connects to the bottom of the machine with a Mac pin. And from here, I can do the leg extensions just like with the weight plates. But with this one, I'm gonna get constant tension. I can do the same with the leg curl. Again, constant tension at the bottom, constant tension at the top. And that's pretty much it. I mean, you got the weight plates, the resistance bands, and the cable machine, and when I'm done, I can just roll it off, set it down, it stands up on its own, and that's the leg developer. Really cool. I like it. I like everything they did with this, starting with the dual weight horn so I can add more weight to it, the thick leg rollers so I can have a good pre-stretch at the beginning of the leg extensions, and I like having the ability to add not only resistance bands but also a cable machine to this, so you get different resistance profiles. Now the next one is the hybrid board. This one's a combination of a slant board and an anterior tib machine. And I gotta say, not my favorite combination, but it does make sense that they did it this way just because you're gonna be working opposing muscle groups. You have the slant board for calf raises, so you gotta have something for the anterior tibialis muscle as well, which is the anterior tib machine. And of course, you can also use the slant board for heel elevated squats, so you can target more of your quads. So it is what it is, not my favorite, but I'm gonna give you the details anyways. I do really like that they used a round edge here on the back just because I feel that feels more natural on my foot, on my feet. And also I feel like I'm not gonna fall off the edge like I would with a slant board that's just a sharp corner there. So I do like that idea. It has grip tape all over it, so it feels very solid. And this thing is overbuilt in a way. I actually thought it was gonna be smaller. It's bigger than what I thought it was gonna be. It's made out of 11 gauge steel, so it's solid. It's gonna hold a lot of weight, and it's just an overbuilt slant board. Now, if you look at the side here, there's a couple notches there, and that's there for a reason. You can insert some resistance bands right under it, and then you can do resistance band heel elevated squats. You can do resistance band calf raises. So just a little something, little details that added more versatility to this attachment. So really cool. And I guess this wouldn't be considered an attachment because it doesn't attach to the bench, but an accessory. Either way, I'm going to give you more details here. So the front, this has a unique piece here that can be detached. And the reason that's there is because you can use this in combination with the Barrett Belt Squat for heel elevated belt squats. So the whole reason that's there is so that the kickstand, whenever it's flipped down, it doesn't come in contact with the slant board, and then you can do heel elevated belt squat. So cool idea there that they came up with, just to combine both of these different pieces to add more versatility to the whole ecosystem. And of course, this is what I would use it for the most, aside from the calf raises, and this is for the heel elevated squats. If you're somebody that has difficulty going down when doing squats, it's probably either a restriction in one of your joints. You probably have knee problems, heel problems, or hip problems, or a combination of all of those. So this, having the heel elevated, what it does is that it removes restrictions from the ankles so you can get deeper on the squat. You can see there I can go deep. And because I'm not hinging back as much as a regular squat, this is gonna focus more on my quads. Either way, it's still gonna hit the quads and the hamstrings. And for calf raises, all you gotta do is flip those anterior tip pieces forward. You can do your calf raises. Again, I do like that it has a round edge there, so that feels more natural on my foot. It doesn't feel like it's poking straight out at the bottom of my foot. And the grip tape keeps me on there so I don't slip off. So very simple, but it works. And then of course you have the anterior tip pieces. Not my favorite, but I get it. Opposing muscle groups. And with this one, you don't need a lot of weight. I do like that they have an adjustable pad there, roller, so you can move it up and down to whatever feels better for your foot. And that's pretty much it. That's the hybrid board. Next one up is the ab trainer. So this one's an ab attachment with built-in handles that I can flip upside down and use it for hanging leg raises. So something different. I haven't seen anything like this before, and it just gives you a little bit more versatility from one product, which is good. We always need that in a home gym. Now this one here has a pop pin on the top. It's easy to adjust, move it back and forth. And then right here, I'm going to show you how I get up on the decline sit-up bench setup. So there's handles on the support bar. I'm going to step on one of the handles and then grab the handle on the ab trainer and get myself on there. Very simple to do. It takes me about a couple seconds to do. And then you can see there's no movement, very little movement here. So it's very stable. At the bottom here, if I pause it, you can see that I'm going to have a lot of headroom on the bottom. You can decline the seat, of course, if you're really tall. So as far as movement, the exercise itself, it feels very stable, very good. Plenty of room for my head there, and it's just as easy to get down. Now from here, I can flip it upside down for the hang leg raiser setup, lock it in place, and now I have the handles pointing forward, and I can hang on to the handles, place my head on the leg rollers there, and I can do the hanging leg raises. Now, one thing about this, it's not gonna be as tall as if you were hanging from a pull-up bar, of course, so you're gonna have to spread your legs at the bottom there so that you don't hit the seat pad. If you're really tall, you're probably gonna have to just not even be able to straighten out your legs, but it is what it is. I actually like doing the hanging leg raises better on the next attachment, which is the pull-up tower. So the power tower is a combination of a pull-up bar and also a dip bar. Now, the first one I'm going to show you here is the dip station. I actually have this one set to 75 degrees here on the bench, so it's actually high. I have to jump up to get on it. But as far as stability goes, it does move a little bit, but it's not terrible. You can do the exercises without a problem. Over here, I'm showing you the hanging leg raises. This is the version I actually like better than with the previous attachment that I showed you, just because I can rest my butt on there, do my leg raises. I have enough space on the bottom, and they feel really good. Now, I like having the ability to use the band pegs for this one here. As you can see, very little movement there. You can also weight it up to 400 pounds. So very useful as far as dips go. I don't feel like it moves very much to disrupt the exercise. And then I can add the pull-up extension on here to add some height for the pull-up station, of course. Now this one, I keep it at 75 degrees. The pull-up station here is adjustable. I can adjust it up and down vertically. Now this one here, I feel a little bit more movement than the previous one because, of course, as you extend the attachment off the bench, there's going to be a little bit more movement. But I do like that it has several grip options here. My favorite would be the neutral one, and I like the thick grip. So the neutral one is what I'm showing you here. But you have the option to go wide, you have the option to go narrow, and it has knurling on there so you feel secure. You don't feel like you're going to slip. And of course, I added the bands. I'm using the band pegs again there. 350-pound weight capacity for this attachment here for the pull-up extension. And you can also do pull-ups with weight on there as well. So a little bit of movement, not terrible. Overall, I think it's a very good piece. All right, so we're here. The final attachment, the landmine attachment. This one, of course, is going to be going into the bottom port of the bench. That's going to give it the best stability. And it's simple. Pull the pop pin, insert it, lock it down. You're good to go. Now you get 180 degrees of free motion in all different planes of motion. Now for this one, I wanted to try a lower body exercise, upper body exercise, and an explosive exercise. So right here, I'm doing some front squats. You can see it works just like a regular landmine attachment. No movement on the bench. Right here is the upper body exercise. Then I'm going to do an explosive one here just to see if the bench really moves, and it didn't move at all. So just like a landmine, this one gives you a lot of versatility with the bench. Now, as far as the Apex ecosystem, I think the tip bar guy did a really good job here, built a solid bench, and then that is the centerpiece for everything. The bench is solid, it's stable, 11 gauge steel, 1,000-pound weight capacity, and then you have this entire ecosystem where you can pick and choose from. Are you going to buy everything? Of course not. Nobody has a space for that. You just pick and choose based on your training style and based on the space that you have available in your home or garage gym. So I hope you like the information in this video. If you want to learn more about the Apex Bench, I'll leave a link below this video. That link is shreddeddad.com/Apex Bench. If you have any comments, questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the latest uploads. For more home gym equipment reviews and discounts, make sure you visit my website, shreddeddad.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.